review, and if you take out your sheets that we've already handed out, this is an example. Dr. Cott's got a beautiful one up there on the monitor. This one lists all the notes, well, not all of them by any means, but the primary ones that you'll ever encounter. And it's for you to learn to read from. Using the keyboard, you're going to learn to read notes on the keyboard. Easy way to do it. You've got 2 black keys and 3 black keys. C is always to the left of the 2 black keys. C is kind of the basis of starting out to learn to read music. It's the easiest one. And so you've got C, D, E, F, G, and then it goes back again, A, B, C. And so you're there an octave higher than you were down here. And that is divided into 8 steps, and that's known as a diatonic scale. So, knowing that, and I think on the paperwork there's an example of the notes. Well, there's not. But anyhow, how to read the notes. If you've got it, if you can find it, lay your hands on this sheet. Okay. And you see these 2 notes right in the middle. Well, that's C. That, if you want to, write it on your paperwork if you haven't got it on there. And they happen to be the same note. It's just that it's the transition note going from the higher part in the treble clef down into the bass clef. Most melody, 98% of melody will be played primarily in the treble clef. You're going to go down, you'll see it running down into the bass clef, and you'll see things like this. This is the sign for the treble clef, and you'll see notes like this would be middle C, but they might take you down into the bass clef, but they're going to leave the notes written in the treble clef. So what they'll do is that would be a B, they'll add a line, they'll add another line, and this would be an A. And you go down to G, and sometimes you'll see it clear down to an F. And those are actually these notes right in here. But they're going to be written in the treble clef. Now, a lot of music, now that we're getting away from some of the other basics like keys. Well, let's do a little review on keys. What can somebody tell me about the key of D? The man says 2 sharps, and he's right on the money. Got an F sharp, and it's the little pound sign on the F line, the high F line. Here's F above middle C. This would be what would be called F2, meaning that it's 2, the second one above middle C. And then the other is the C sharp. And that changes things. We're going to run a scale. Here's your C scale. I don't like that where the who's it now? Well, we're going to do it that way. Okay, so. Okay, that's your C scale. D scale is going to sound different. It's got two notes. I play that one. No, let me start over. I did it wrong. So, you've got primarily, there are a lot of keys we're not going to get into. You probably won't encounter them. There are things, you know, the sharps and the flats. Any of these keys have two names. What are both names of this key? Anybody tell me?
F sharp, G
What's
flat,
F sharp?
G flat.
And G flat, that's right. Going down, if you encounter a black key, generally it's labeled as a flat. If you're going up the keyboard, then it'll be known as a sharp. You can see it written either way. It doesn't make any difference, it's the same note. Okay. Tempo, time. You've got a sheet on time. You'll see a piece of music written like this. If it has a big C or a 4 over another 4, it means it's common time. It's going to have 4 beats or counts to each measure. So a whole note, which would look like this, it'd be all in one measure. You would hold that for 4 counts. That note would be da. A half note, and then another half note would be da, da, and then you get into quarter notes. You have, say, these should all be black. They're filled in, and that's the count for that measure. So that'd be da, 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 da. It goes down. The next one's down 16. I beg your pardon, eighth notes, which is what it's doing is cutting these in half. You see, you start with a whole note, it's cut in half. The half notes are cut in half, and then the quarter notes are cut in half again. So it would be da 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 da. See how it speeds it up as you go on? That's how you read tempo. That's how it tells you how it's supposed to be played. If you know the song beforehand, you've heard it, then you really don't have to pay too much attention to tempo because you've got it in your head. Your fingers are going to play it the way you hear it. But if it's a piece of music you've never laid eyes on before, that's different. So it's going to tell you that music is a roadmap. It tells you what to do and how to do it. So, okay. Now the same thing applies to the rest. You've got a printout that shows you the rest because sometimes you're playing a piece of music and it doesn't want you to play. It wants you to lay out. It might want you to lay out a measure. It might want you to lay out 10 measures. Or it might just be a quarter note, one beat that you're supposed to lay out. You run into that probably more than anything. And so there are examples in all your paperwork to show you those. You need to go back over it. And now, I want to get into something else. We're going to progress into, we just touched on it last time, called the circle of fifths. And I think everybody has one. Dr. Cox was good enough to get these for us. Songs are made up of combinations of notes put together. And when these notes are put together and played together, it's called a chord. And generally there are 3 of them. And so, for a major chord, you're going to have the root. I call it the root. It would be like C. Just say you're starting out in C, or it's written above the music as C. You'll see it's regular C above the treble clef. And so it's telling you that what you're playing is in the key, is in the chord of C. Now, we're talking about bass in what you're going to play in your left hand now. So, and you play them all together. Let me get this changed. Okay, if you play the root, which we said was going to be C, and then you add the third to it, and then you add the 5th note in that scale to it, you're going to make a chord. It's going to sound like this. Okay, now let's back up. When I say okay, what is the 3rd note in the C scale?
G.
Right. Now, let's do it without looking at anything. Because you have a computer that you carry around with you all the time, and you use it subconsciously. You don't realize you're using it. Let's see. How many were there? There were 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah. That's your computer. That's your computer. So, if you take your hand and say this, everybody put your hand up, C. Well, you know the next one's D, so the 3rd one's got to be E, the 4th one's got to be F, and the 5th one has got to be G. Are you with me? Okay. You're looking, there's a little difference here, and it can be confusing. A chord, a major chord, is made up of the root, the 3rd, and the 5th. So we're talking about C, E, and G. That makes a chord. But now here's
Chords are made up of what? Roots?
3, yeah, whatever note the chord is labeled as. If it's labeled as a D, this one's going to be D. You start with D. So you got D, E, F sharp, G, and A. So D, F sharp, and A are going to make a D chord. So now, I have to think while I'm doing this, so be patient. So that's what makes up a chord. And there are different kinds of chords. There are variations, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But where the confusing thing is, songs are made up out of a selection of chords. And generally, your easy, basic, like traditional songs, some of them will only have 2 chords. They'll have the root and they'll have the 5th. A lot of them are that way. But instead of having the 3rd, they'll have the 4th. A chord made up of the 4th note. So let's go back to C. What makes a C chord? C, E, and G. C, D, E, F, G. Are you with me? Okay. And what makes it a 5th chord? You start with the 5th note, C, D, E, F, G. So we're going to start with G. How are we going to make a chord out of G? G, A, B, C, D. So G, A, I beg your pardon, G, B, and D make a chord. See, there's a difference. And now, are you totally confused?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, you see a piece of music. And it's going to, you'll see like a C up here. Then you'll see a G, and then it'll go back to C. So while you're playing your melody, which might be do it that way. We'll make this 4/4. Then it wants the next so many notes played in what makes a G chord. G, A, B, C, D. So you're going to back up with a G, a B, and a D. So the notes that you would play with this will agree with this chord that you're going to play with the other hand. So let's say we'll do it this way, and then we'll go back down here to a B. And then we're going to go back to C. So we might have a whole note ending in C. So this part is played with the major chord, the C major. Means there's no minors, it's just as pure as it can be. And it's going to go to the 5th, which is the G, and then it's going to go back to the root. Now, if you were to play that, it's probably not going to sound like a melody, but it's not going to sound bad. So, we're going to start off with a C. And let's see, what did we put up there? We put then it goes to the G, and we started off. And then we went back to our C. So, this is not easy if you haven't got a clue what's going on. And I'm trying to keep from confusing you. Anyhow, okay. So looking at your, called the circle of fifths, the clock, well, I need to talk about the fourth chord, and that would make up a song, which you might run into and you might not. It may not be there. But counting at C, C, D, E, F is the fourth chord. That can be thrown in to make up your basic song. Now, going back to what makes up a chord, it's the first, the third, and the fifth. But what makes up the chords for the song is the first and the fourth and the fifth. That's the difference between them, yeah.
Okay, so let me see if I have this correct.
Well, don't worry about it, tell me.
Okay, C is like the root, right?
Yeah, in the key of C, you're gonna, C is where you would start.
Okay, and within that is some C, D, E, F, G,
G,
right?
right.
So those little black things, the little black
Those
dots,
are notes
those are the notes within the C, the
within
root.
within the C chord.
And then you switch, after you did that, you went to another root, which was the G.
Right.
Okay.
Which is the fifth.
That's called the fifth?
Yeah. See, it's the combination.
Yeah.
The root or the basis, or whatever you want to call it, the one you start with, is always, you know, that. But the fifth chord makes up the song. You gotta have at least those two. I don't know of any song that is written in just one chord. Now that's very basic. They're going to expand from that. You're going to run into other chords and what have you. But this is what we want to get started on. And see, now the same thing applies if we were playing in D. What would the A be? What would be the A chord? What would you call it? No, give me the number of it. What would the number be of it?
Fifth. Fifth.
I'm deaf.
Fifth. 3 sharps.
Fifth, it is the fifth. See the way this works. You're going to have whatever you start on, the one to the right of it is going to be the fifth chord. The one to the left of it's going to be the fourth chord. And it goes totally around and comes back again. It works all the way around. So if you're going to play something in the key of A, E is the fifth, D is the fourth. See? And you'll run into that in music a lot. So, is there anything you would expound further on that? You, I'm looking at.
Well, I'm going to recommend that you have them put up their hand and let them do the
Yeah, we
the
have.
walking.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, we've done that, and that works in any key. Let's go to the key of F. What makes F different from any other key other than the fact that it starts, well, it will end on the, that's something I need to touch on again. Any song will end on the note of the key that it's written in. So if you look at a song and you don't know what key it is in, look at the last note of the song. And if it's an F, then it's in the key of F. Now F is something that makes F very distinctive. One flat. It's got the B in it is flatted. So that's what makes F. So okay, we're going to play a song in the key of F. Somebody's told me that this song, and you run into this a lot in bluegrass and what have you, where people are playing without music. Well, you can play with them, even though you may not know how to play the melody. You can play with them because they've told you it's in the key of, okay, let's go to C. That's our easy one. It's in the key of C. So they've told you that. What other two chords besides the C chord are one of them for sure you're going to play, and another one that you very likely will be playing at some point with the song? You're going to start in the key of C. Now what's the other one that I told you? You'll have to have
G.
G, the fifth. And then what is the fourth? Because that's the one you may run into.
And F.
Yeah. Am I right? C, D, E, F.
Yeah.
Yeah. So use this computer, and it will lead you around. Now, what we're doing is we're giving you the materials and the know-how, excuse me, to learn how to read music. That's as far as we can go. It's going to be up to you to go on with it. And like anything else, you need, if you've got access to a keyboard like this, you need it to apply. Just start out with your right hand and learn all those notes. Learn, and then find a piece of music and see if you can play those notes. I don't care if it takes you 5 minutes to get through the first line. The next time it won't take you so long. And you've got to do it. You learn by doing. That's all there is to it. That's why we practice 3 times a week. This musical group does. And then we play gospel on Wednesday mornings over at Gilmore, which is really another form of practice. So you've got to work at it. If you're not willing to put something in it, you're not going to get anything out of it. So we've got. I don't read sign language.
Question. You had a question?
Yeah. Oh, question. Oh, certainly. Just holler. Don't wait for me to ask.
I am wondering if C can only be played in middle C.
If C can only be played in middle C, no.
Okay.
C is part of a lot of different chords. There are a gob of different chords. They take different combinations of notes and they make a chord. And right off the top, I would say there would probably be at least 9 different chords that you could have a C in. It would be part of it. Now, I'm guessing on that. I have not counted them. So.
Chords are played with your left hand?
Yes, but you can play them with the right hand. If you were backing somebody up, somebody was playing, say, an electric guitar and they had the melody, you can play chords with your right hand. That's no big deal. See, you can go. So you're playing what's called backup in bluegrass, which is what we do a lot of. You have a whole group of people, preferably sitting around in a circle, all these different instruments, and they take turns of playing the melody. Only one person plays a melody of a song all the way through. And then it will pass to somebody else if they want to take a turn. They play the same song all the way through, but everybody else is playing backup. So if you're playing the guitar, you're strumming on chords. Or if you want to take a turn, you're going to pick the melody on the guitar. Or if you've got a fiddle, somebody's going to play the fiddle and play the melody. But other than that, so you can use these chords to back somebody up. And if somebody tells you, okay, this song is in the key of G. Okay. Ooh, I wonder what chords go with G. Look at your hand. G, A, B, C, D. G. I'm going blank.
C,
and you're okay.
G, C, and D.
G, and your 4th is C, and your 5th is D. So if you've got any kind of an ear, you'll hear the song change. And if it starts off in G, it's either going to change to D or C. And then it'll go back probably to G. It'll change a lot of times through a piece of music.
So after G, it always goes back to C?
No, not necessarily. No. If you're in the key of G, G is your main key. It's the key of G, and you're playing in it. And it might go to C, and it might go back to G.